And they're off.
Since 1944, Tucsonans have been watching greyhounds race at Tucson Greyhound Park. But what you won't see and have never seen are where the dogs live. Until now.
This is the Tucson Greyhound Park kennel compound, where hundreds of greyhounds live. For years, the public has been kept out.
This is undercover video that nonprofit animal welfare organization Grey 2K shot earlier this year.
This is where they keep the racing dogs.
And what it shows has launched a heated debate on both sides.
It's just plain wrong what's happening to greyhounds at greyhound tracks like Tucson Greyhound Park.
Christine Dorchak is the founder of Grey 2K. She says after learning about how race dogs really live, she put herself through law school just as she could put together legislation to put an end to dog racing everywhere.
The dogs spend most of the day in total darkness.
This video is her latest case in point.
The investigators observed that most of the dogs were muzzled.
You see trainers show who they think are visitors through the process.
Holy cow.
These dogs are kept in complete darkness all day long. They are let out a couple of times a day to relieve themselves in groups, and then they're thrown right back in those cages. They live confined in tiny cages, which are barely large enough for them to stand up or turn around. Our investigators noted that the majority of dogs that they saw were actually muzzled inside their cages.
This is the Tucson Greyhound Park kennel compound.
We took that video directly to Tucson Greyhound Park CEO and General Manager Tom Taylor.
They saw what they wanted to see.
Taylor says Tucson Greyhound Park is one of the best remaining racing facilities in the country and calls the kennels, quote, an ideal place for dogs.
Would you keep your dog like this? And you're saying this is ideal.
Right.
Would you keep your dog in a kennel in
If it was a racing
room?
greyhound, yes, I would.
And
If it was not a racing greyhound, if it was a pet, no.
What's the difference?
One has a job and one does a job and one doesn't. One has to stay in shape, one doesn't have to stay in shape.
I think some people would argue, well, why couldn't you keep them in round pens outside where they can run and play?
They don't want to be outside.
But since Tucson voters passed a proposition back in 2008 to protect the treatment of greyhounds at Tucson Greyhound Park, by law, they must be outside for at least 6 hours a day. But Taylor says that is the only part that isn't ideal at Tucson Greyhound Park, and that even the dogs oppose it.
They'll be out there and they'll be barking and scratching at the gate wanting to get back inside. Trainers don't like it. Owners don't want their dogs out 6 hours a day. The dogs don't want out 6 hours a day, but the law says we have to, so we do it.
But it's hard to know if they always do it, even by Taylor's own admission.
We don't make sure.
Okay.
There's no way we can. The only way we could is if we had someone sitting in there every day, and we can't do that.
So do you trust that it is happening?
We trust that they tell us they're doing it.
According to Taylor, trainers log their hours. So we asked the Arizona Department of Racing for those logs and other information on inspections. They had 30 days to give us the public records, but we never received them. Dorchak says it's happened to her as well.
They are not going to change. We need to make the change for them. I think that if the public takes a look at the video documentation that we are providing now, the public will contact the agency and demand better conditions for these dogs.
But we wanted to see it for ourselves.
Can we see it too?
No,
Why not?
because I'm not going to let the press go in there. Because again, you're going to show it to thousands of people, and we don't know how they're going to take it. Doesn't make any sense to do that, Heather. I could show you the Taj Mahal and people say, that's too religious.
So people on the outside may say, well, that's strange if you have nothing to hide and you feel,
Hey,
prideful
I could
about
show you a picture of the Mona Lisa and you could say, oh, that's horrible.
At this point, it's hard to tell what is exactly happening behind these gates. But one thing that can be publicly seen 6 days a week, all year long, are greyhounds racing at Tucson Greyhound Park.